Nisawa. For today, wacha, let me keep my peace. DCPs might on show during nomination. You'll say whatever it is you want to say, but the nomination process that happened, that DCP held, that was nice to watch. It was straightforward. People went in, voted, results were there. Capish. If that will translate to people coming out to vote is another question. Let's look at the story real quick.
All right. France and Africa chart new course in the Nairobi summit. Of course, I mean, I'm not even going to lie that I have my reservations about that. So that's just what you know. Also here is that French President Emmanuel Macron having been welcomed to State House by President William Ruto. He's here for the Africa Forward Summit. Africa Forward or France Forward is a question that you need to ask. Oparanya calls for ODM ceasefire, claims rifts hurting Ruto's re-election.
Shut up.
Okay.
Shut up.
All right. Can you imagine? The rift in ODM is hurting Ruto's re-election. Oparanya said this with his own mouth in front of people for them to hear outside. He was outside during the day with people there. I don't know.
I think that's one of the most honest statements.
I said it has finally come. This is what I'm saying. It has come out.
Yeah.
You think that, first of all, the rifts going on in ODM were not orchestrated?
Yep.
Number two, you think that somebody is not benefiting from this nonsense that's going on within the party? You think that somebody will not then be able to gain some political mileage with ODM disintegrating? If those are the things that you actually think, I would say, go to the pharmacy and ask them for grown-up pills.
No.
So that you can grow up.
Go to the Camel King and ask him for shut work, then you'll get the treatment you need.
New tax looms for mobile users and gamblers in the Finance Bill 2026.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive.
It is. It's going to be very expensive. The Finance Bill seems to be quite technical, but the nitty-gritty is behind the many words. DCP begin UK charm offensive ahead of 2027 general election. He's traveling to London to chart the course for the Kenyan diaspora. He is Rigathi Gachagua. Bank investors hope for huge gains in Q1 profits. We're looking at that. We're going to see in the next couple of days a lot more in terms of corporate companies talking about their profits over the last year as some financial years come to an end. So some of the things we're looking at, it's going to be a money-heavy week as we talk about the finance bill. It's going to be, of course, politics-heavy. And the headlines are telling us the same thing, more or less.
Yeah. If
you look at the front page of the Business Daily real quick in seconds, is that delays in closing Safaricom sale gifts Treasury 16 billion shillings. Okay, that's nice that you get some more money in the coffers. Let's see that you're actually doing something with it. And Carol Musioka's quote here on Intelligence: the excitement level ahead of the FIFA World Cup is about the same as a cat watching someone fold the laundry. People are not happy about the World Cup. Whoa, yeah. The biggest sporting activity on the planet. Whoa, yeah. I wonder why. Some of the things that we're looking at.
I don't think people are not excited. People are just not excited with where it's being held.
Hatuwezi enda America.
No? Aje. Ndio wale majamaa wenye wanakaa kwa fridge wanaitwa ice wanikujie.
Wow. Sawa basi. Just chill on that. It's 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the news. I'm Sheila Timbor. Opposition leaders have criticized the decision to host the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi, raising concerns over governance and human rights in the country ahead of the continental gathering. Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka claimed Kenya was chosen to host the summit because of divisions among francophone nations rather than the country's own credentials. Speaking in Donholm, Kalonzo said the government should not use the event as proof of democratic progress, arguing that Kenyans continue to face economic hardship, alleged human rights abuses, and suppression of the opposition.
Ideally, that used to happen in French West Africa. But because of the global situation, realignment and alignment in the continent, in the West African coast, the French president decided to convince President William Ruto to host it in Nairobi. There will be an air of pretense that we are a cohesive nation, that we are a democratic nation, that we are a nation at peace with itself, while we know that that is far from the truth.
The government is committed to ending cattle rustling and insecurity in affected parts of the country. Speaking in Igembe Central Meru County, Interior CS Kipchumba Murkomen described cattle rustling as a long-standing challenge that requires sustained investment and close cooperation between the public and the government to restore security. He also raised concern over the increasing flow of illegal firearms into the country, saying the weapons are undermining efforts to fight crime.
Hii sio changamoto ambayo imetokea leo. Hii ni shida imekumba watu wa sehemu hii kwa miaka mingi. Na Mheshimiwa Rais alisema kwamba tumemaliza shida ya mambo ya banditry. Ingawa haijaisha kwa sababu bunduki yenye ziko katika dunia hiyo ni 3,000 na hizo bunduki zote inatokana na kuwa na porous borders, kuwa na majirani kama Somalia, kuwa huko Ethiopia, sehemu ambayo hawana serikali ambayo inachunga mambo ya bunduki, mambo ya South Sudan na sehemu zingine za Uganda huko. Hiyo ndio inajaza bunduki katika northern part of Kenya, kutoka huko West Pokot, ukuje Turkana.
Murkomen added that the government will continue implementing development projects in insecurity-prone areas, noting that years of underdevelopment have contributed to crime and cattle rustling.
Ni ukosefu wa barabara, ukosefu ya mambo ya network, mambo ya maendeleo katika wadogo sana wamewacha shule na wasichana. Na hiyo ndio unaona rais akifanya equalizing the country by developing this northern part of the country. Is part of the long-term solution ya kuhakikisha tunatoa supply ya watu wenye wanaitwa wezi wa ng'ombe na wale wanachukua mabunduki. If you really pity, if you look at ukienda sehemu hizo, you also pity those young people because they are 16, 17, 18. They should be in school. But because of marginalization, lack of facilities, poor infrastructure, lack of development, those places have produced a high supply of young people wenye wanapambana wanaleta mambo ya banditry.
And National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has hinted at a possible presidential bid in 2032, saying his years of experience in public service have prepared him for the country's top leadership position. Speaking in Webuye East, Bungoma County, Wetangula said he has served as an MP, Assistant Minister, Senator, now Speaker of the National Assembly, adding that he has no interest in returning to those positions. The Speaker also criticized retired President Uhuru Kenyatta for remaining active in politics, saying former head of state should focus on offering guidance and counsel to the nation.
Nimekuwa ordinary MP, nikakuwa assistant minister, nikakuwa minister, nikakuwa senator wenu, sasa niko speaker number 3 in Kenya. Kweli nitakuwa wazimu kiasi gani kurudi nyuma kubishana kwa mambo madogo madogo? Si lazima tuangalie mbele. Na hiyo kuangalia mbele si yangu, ni yetu sisi zote. Lazima tutembee pamoja. And I promise not to let you down. I promise to work for you. I promise to do everything to improve our lot. We are partners with UDA. We are partners in Kenya Kwanza. We are partners in broad-based na ODM. Mzee Raila, tulibishana na yeye, tukasukuma kurudumu. Alipoona matokeo, akasema watu yangu, tuende kwa serikali.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembur.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Baba should disown these experts and say they went there on the, because he keep on telling us that these experts just you came from Dubai and you found them there already at State House looking for jobs.
Government has to live, has to introduce austerity measures. It's something that this government and the previous ones have not been able to do in this country. We've talked about it so many times.
And really, I think you have seen the modus operandi of William Samoei Ruto since he came in. It's just showbiz.
This is The Situation Room the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same
and the
National
Senate,
Assembly.
Yes. That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Good morning, wherever you're tuned in. This is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. 8 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Monday, the 11th of May. Very lovely to have you with us as we get into these conversations this morning. And it was a busy weekend coming in from a busy week, and we get into things this morning. So we will talk. And yes, we did have a bit of a technical hitch, but glory, because the live stream is back up. So we don't have we should be okay. Monday mornings can be quite the thing coming off the weekend. So apologies for that, but that has definitely been sorted out. So then if you're on the live stream, that's where you're listening in. If you're on KTN, karibu sana to you as you get into the room with us. If you're listening across radio, indeed around the country, the region and the world, this is the Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Nduh and Dennis with you today as we get into it. We start off with a political conversation this morning, and just to then be able to read, you know how they say read the room. In this case now, we're reading the country, and both our guests are seated this morning getting into it. So karibuni sana as we get into that conversation. Nominated Senator Veronica Minor is here with us this morning. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Very much for having me this morning.
Thank you for being here this morning.
Belated Happy Mother's Day. I don't know, maybe I hope I'm right to say
you are. Thank you, and to you too.
Thank you.
See, here we are teetering on assumptions, but they're good ones. Karibu sana.
Not far from the truth.
Not
so
far from the truth, so it's good. Indeed. Wakili Edward Muriu is the MP for Gatanga constituency, also here with us this morning. Good morning, Wakili.
Good morning, all, and thanks for inviting us.
Thank you for being here this morning, Karibu sana.
I think this year we have not...
We've not met this year. Yes.
We did that last year, but you're happy to be back.
Very glad that you could honor the invitation to do this, have this conversation with us today. We're going to be looking into Game Plan 2027. Of course, from the nominations, it meant a thing. But before we get into that, Dennis takes us to down south somewhere.
Yes. Today we are in Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, the last absolute monarchy in the continent. King Mswati III currently exists as the king and holds both the governance and legislative powers in the country. We talk about the country having, in terms of records in HIV, the numbers are highest in the world, but progress has gone into ensuring that that is being handled. But in terms of culture, it is also the only country that has the most beautiful culture in the continent. But let's go to the proverb. A king is a king through the people. A king is a king through the people. Ladies, go first. How would you interpret it?
I think I would agree with that. A king is a king through the people. So whether it's a monarchy or a democracy or even a one-party state, a king cannot be a king without the people. Because it's the people who enthrone you as a king. In our system, for instance, you come in through the vote, and you come in through a majority of the vote to become the president and the leader of government. So there is no other way you can be a king without the people. And even if you look at the monarchy in UK, in England, you look at monarchies in other places, even just right next door here in Uganda, you cannot be a king without the people. It is the people who crown you to be a king.
Right.
And that's why it becomes dangerous when you see a king who declares themselves a king. It shouldn't be. You should be declared by people. It's the people who should call you the king. It's not you who should say, I'm your king.
Yeah.
It's the people who should proudly say, this is our king.
Okay.
For the Swatini, the culture, maybe, I'm not too sure which culture you support, because you say it's beautiful. And I know what happens there with the parading of the beauties, parading of women. And sometimes I see, sometimes they're topless. I'm not too sure of that culture myself. Actually, I'm not sure of that culture, whether it should be happening or not happening. They need to explain to me why they do it.
That could be a 3-hour conversation, Senator.
Yes, you should call us someday for that.
Wakili, how would you interpret it?
I think that metaphor aligns very well with our Constitution, Article 1, that the power is donated by the people to the king. And the king means leadership, basically, in large extent. And therefore, a king lives at the grace of the people. And the fundamental of it is it's a trust. You are given, people entrust you to guide and lead them. And therefore, it aligns very well with our Constitution, it's particularly Article 1. And coming to Swatini, of course, depends on which side of the bench you are sitting on. Some would say they have got a beautiful culture. Others, they see it from a nudity perspective. And others make a statement like when they see that nudity, they feel like a mosquito in a nudist colony, you know. So it depends on where it comes from. But going to the point, I think the sense that a king can only be a king if he has the people. That aligns very well, and that's why a king need always be very careful to listen to the ground. On what the people want, not what you want. What the people want.
Well said, well interpreted.
Indeed. So July 16th, there's a by-election that will take place in Old Kalau. This happened as a result of the unfortunate demise of the Member of Parliament, and we, of course, saw that earlier. Sadly, this meant that with that loss, that there needed to be somebody that comes in. So July is the date. But nominations were taking place over this last week, and then ended in, a lot of then predictions or, assumptions of what then might happen. It's no secret to many that a by-election usually is kind of like what they've called the litmus test or the acid test for what may happen later. Let's start off with what thoughts were around and what it actually points to. Or is it just another by-election and that nobody need be worried about anything, or nobody then should rest on their laurels because of the results of this election? We'll start with you, Wakili.
Thank you.
I mean, both of you are Wakili, but okay. Let's see. We'll start with you, Wakili from Gatanga.
Thank you. Old Kalau will be a determiner of many things. And the realignment of Mount Kenya politics. And as you saw, both on Friday and Saturday, that gives you an indication where this country is heading to, in particular the Mount Kenya region. And going slightly back, during the funeral of my brother, David Karaho, and may God rest his soul in eternal peace. The party leader of the DCP party, when he was given an opportunity to eulogize Honorable David the late, he said a number of things in terms of the fact that his impeachment as a deputy president made a systematic, it's a seismic, it will make a seismic change or difference to the Mount Kenya politics. And the reason is very simple. The Mount Kenya people have got an interesting psyche, and which is very different from other people. They hate betrayal.
Okay.
Number two, they are not noisy, they don't throw stones, they don't demonstrate, but they just wait for the day. If you saw what happened on Friday, the UDA party, the ruling party, was only able to push less than 8,000 voters to go and vote for their candidate. That is after all the standard cabinet secretaries, governors, MPs, secretary generals of the party, going there and spilling money like water. They were only able to get less than 8,000. The following day, over 24,000 voters came out organically, without any coercion, without any intimidation, without being told come out, and they voted for their what can call preferred candidate. Now, we normally say numbers don't lie, and if the winner on the UDA got about I think maybe 1,000 something, and the other one
it wasn't 1,000.
was able to garner over 8,000. That tells you, and basically what you're saying, long and short. And maybe my colleague here who is on the side of UDA party, if I were them, I would just save my time and money, save their breath. The die is cast. The mountain is gone. And that's just the beginning. Just that's the beginning. I know I was in Bere last year. And of course, money was being poured like water. But we are also telling, and I think Okoh is telling the leadership that all Kalau is not Mbere. They may spend money, but that money will be bastardized, it will be eaten, and people will vote for the DCP party. And the DCP party, and for the ones who are able to see, is the party which will eventually take over the mountain. Finally, and this is very important. One of the strategies of the UDA party, and maybe for your information, I was, as much as Veronica was the Secretary General of UDA party, I am still, and she was removed, I am still the Secretary in charge of Legal Affairs at UDA party.
I thought you were about to offer an invite for her to join you.
Right?
Okay.
And you can read what's happening, very simple. The strategy of UDA party is to bring in some new parties. And those parties, we know them. And the moment they go out to break the resolution or to come in, try to pretend that they're in the opposition, we know who is their sponsor, and we shall put them the labels. Yellow, Huirbaru, pink, Huirbaru, blue, Huirbaru, and we are waiting for them. Why? It's because the current members of parliament and elected, they're not going to get a chance to be voted. And therefore, their patron up there will give them some few Huirbarus to come and try to get votes. And we are ready for them. Yes.
Senator, The by-election that happened in Mbere and Malava as well was touted as a game changer at the time. It was said that that was to show Kenyans where exactly 2027 elections would look like. And with that, it was said that UDA would not win Mbere, neither would it win Malava. But the story is different today. As we hear as well a conversation that Olkalau will be the game changer ahead of 2027. Where does that sit with the UDA? Because UDA as well saying we are here to win this and we're here to make sure that we retain that seat because it was a UDA seat.
Let me say this. First of all, we still had this kind of excitement which I'm hearing from my colleague when we went for the by-elections in Mbere, North and Malava and different other constituencies. Yes. And what happened was a real showdown to the DCP, which I must commend.
A bit of correction. DCP did not have a candidate. I think it's important that we clarify.
But they had the United Opposition
DCP did not have a candidate.
They aligned. They aligned
in
with certain candidates in Mbere.
Okay.
They agreed on a candidate from DP. Initially, that candidate was not even in DP, but they agreed because the seat was originally held by a DP member of parliament.
So, for purposes of clarification, DCP threw their support behind the DP.
Their united, what they are now calling united opposition.
All right.
They agreed on a candidate in Mbere, and I would hope at least they can be honest enough to own up that they even went to campaign, and we even saw their party leader moving from house to house, even helping to make tea. He did a number of things in Mbere which showed that he supported that candidate.
Okay.
Now, that was then their candidate. And in fact, my colleague and my brother here has confessed he went to Mbere. Why was he in Mbere if then it was not their candidate? So I don't think that's a point of contention. It was their candidate, their joint candidate. And together with their joint candidate, they were shown dust by UDA. It is never too good to dance before the drum beat. It's always good to wait for the drum beat to beat. But I must commend them for the gift of gab and the gift of speech, the gift of speaking, and it's usually easier for opposition. When people are aligned to opposition, it's always easier to say, Mombasa Road now has a pothole. And it's easier for them to condemn, to show mistakes, to show gaps, because that is the work of an opposition, to check the government. However, just like it happened in Malava and in Mbere, we now have an excitement building around, a storm gathering around. It's a storm in a teacup, gathering around the numbers that turned out to do the nominations, the party primaries, both in comparing both UDA, how UDA performed in terms of numbers, and the DCP. But I want to say this. If you notice, the UDA party primaries were done on a Friday. The community you are dealing with in Olkalau, you must understand the context within which these voters are coming out. This is a very hardworking community within Olkalau. They do agriculture farming, and most of them are in farms. When you pick a weekday to do an event like that, the numbers are affected. The best day to do party primaries, from a perspective of secretariat and from a perspective of my role as former SG, is usually a weekend, a Saturday. Because
like Saturday.
You get to receive more people, because can you imagine the teachers who are in school, the doctors who are in hospitals, they might not actually come out on Friday. They'll come out on a Saturday.
Okay.
So they had the added advantage of doing it on a Saturday. And then the UDA initially had slotted the party primaries to be done on Saturday. But IBC ideally will not allow two political parties to do a party primaries on the same day.
Okay.
So when I was heading the UDA secretariat, the IBC would guide each of us to pick a date that is away from the other parties to avoid conflicts, because they are the same classrooms that you'll be used, or the same stations that you'll be used, polling stations. So to avoid a fight and a showdown between the two police of the turnout can then be short-lived, very short-lived, because the game is not yet over. It's just begun.
Okay.
And let me also say this. The person who goes to vote in a party primary For you to know that it's done properly, a nomination is done, plan is done properly, you must look at who are they allowing to vote. Because imagine if they don't have a party register, they are using the IBC register, and anyone can walk into any station and can vote in this station and vote in the other station. So the success of that party primary, though the numbers may be shouldered up, would only be tested and checked and verified if you confirm that every person who walked into each station voted only once and they did not go to a neighboring polling station until they show the process that they have gone through and show that the process was so short that you could not walk into another station. That's when you can dance about the numbers. Because it could as well be that you have gone and voted in 3 stations, 1 person. So the numbers are counting. As you go to the next station, it counts another additional person. So
an IEBC would not have a control over this?
No, they don't have control.
Yes,
party primaries are done by the parties themselves.
Yes, Senator, because
it's a secretariat that runs. In other words, I'm saying, though the numbers may be appearing to show like DCP had a heavier turnout based on the Saturday, based on what process they used to show whether that a single voter did not vote 3 times or 4 times or did not have 3 ballots or 2 ballots, then you would then come and boast about the numbers. But when the real game begins, and it's the IEBC now checking and making sure that your finger has been inked after you vote.
Yes.
That's when you tell the true test of who is more popular than the other.
I think allow me to correct something. I hear a lot of
get a chance. Let me finish.
Let's just finish that point and then come to you, Wakili.
And I'm saying this. If you look at the former member of parliament who passed on, he was Jubilee Party, but aligned to UDA. So that seat was ideally not held by UDA. Okay? It was not held by UDA, but he was aligned to the UDA. And I would say this, the candidates who are now flying the flag of both the UDA and the DCP have been in the field before. One of them held the second position in 2022. So let me tell you something. Wait for the game. It is not yet over. It has just begun.
Yeah. Wakili, as you respond, I just want to ask this question. The senator has raised something very critical when it comes to nomination processes, because this is done by the party. And one asked the question, who voted for the DCP member?
Exactly.
Because one asked the question, is there party register for DCP members in all Kalau? And is there evidence to show that everyone who voted is actually a DCP member?
Thank you. First and foremost, I think it's important that I do a rebuttal of what my colleague is trying to allude. There is excitement. There's no excitement. It's the reality sinking in. And my colleague, having worked on a party, she knows very clearly it is not about even the people who come out. It's the spirit on the ground. Because as a politician, you can be able to sense what is happening on the ground. We are talking about a party which they call itself ruling party. They came with loads of money as usual, and it's in the media. They were trying to bribe people to go and vote. In fact, the question which you ask him, you need to ask him whether the people they are bribing to go and vote for their candidate and they refused, whether those people were members of UDA party.
I'm sorry, it looks like it might be an hour of clarifications here. What we're saying, or according to what you're saying, Wakili, is that UDA, from your assertions, were bribing members of the Okoh community to come out and vote towards the nomination of their candidate?
Absolutely.
And how do you know this?
It is the media. It's the social media. Well, yes, it is all over there.
What is there? Is a video? Is there somebody saying something?
Yes. And I even want to show you, I'll show you. There are videos all over. The team of UDA, from the Secretary General, the governors, the cabinet secretaries, were all there on Friday with loads of money.
So the thing about
let me give you the mood on the ground.
Maybe I can ask a question that would then help.
Let me give the mood on the ground.
Allow me to ask a question that perhaps then would help with the mood. So, regardless of what the situation would be, every party needs the nominated candidate to appear.
Yeah.
You require this to happen. So it's not whether if you want to be in the running, you have to present your own candidate. This is actually not the battle yet. The battle comes in on the 16th of July, but you must present a worthy candidate. Of what benefit and to whom would it be if UDA was bribing members of the community to come and nominate their own candidate?
The answer is, as my colleague has said, the turnout of UDA members, despite the fact that they were bribed.
Is there a threshold that needs to be met?
Let me explain. Give me a bit.
Okay.
I'm answering a question. I'm answering a question.
Okay.
You see, remember, and I think I said from the word go, UDA is the ruling party. It has all the political machinery and all the money in their disposal. All right? And therefore, it would be a shame for them not to be seen to be pulling the crowds to come and nominate their preferred candidate.
Okay.
So nominations are normally the curtain raiser before the main show.
Okay.
And what comes out at the inception gives you an indication of the outcome.
Okay.
So what you're saying long and short is this: if it's about less than 8,000 people who came out to vote, the preferred candidate for UDA, despite pouring money, bringing unga and all that and all that in Olkarau, against over 24,000 organic, self-motivated people who came to vote their own candidate. That tells you the enthusiasm and the acceptance of the party.
So it's an
All right?
the optics matter here.
And I said initially, numbers don't lie.
Okay.
And since this being a curtain raiser is about a contest on which party, with only two parties,
yes,
which party is able to mobilize the biggest number for nominations.
Okay.
Because that has a direct impact on what will happen at the general election.
Can I just ask one more question? Because, this is a place where we can understand. Dennis is a member of the Peabody Party, whatever that may be. He cannot come to Olkalau and vote for the nomination of somebody in DCP, isn't it?
Yes.
He cannot, because he doesn't belong to that party. Am I correct? Or am I off here? It must be DCP members voting for the nomination of a DCP candidate. It must be UDA registered members voting for the nomination of a UDA candidate, right? Okay. I just needed to get that clarification.
Now,
okay. Dennis? Sorry.
Yeah, because then my question still goes to Akile. My previous question. How sure are we that those who voted on Friday did not vote on Saturday?
Let me say this, and I think maybe he will answer about UDA. I want about DCP because I'm not a member of UDA anymore.
Okay.
You are a member of
the body is
UDA,
there,
technically
but the spirit is
She's
gone.
claiming you.
You are a member of UDA. He is an MP.
Let me finish.
On UDA ticket to Gatanga constituency. Let's get that clear.
Right.
But he has started to align with DCP. In fact, if UDA was strict,
Yeah.
things
Let him respond.
would happen.
Yeah. because Wakili, on Friday, one would, if there was that ink, then one would not be able to vote on Saturday. So one asked the question, using the DCP list of members that belong to DCP, how sure are we that those who did not vote on Friday voted?
As far as I'm concerned, and I said I would like to talk on behalf of DCP parties.
Yes.
Because as far as we are concerned, UDA in the mountain is dead as a dodo. Us as DCP, we have a list of our members. And our members came in big numbers and they voted for their candidate. Now, and that's why I said initially, when you bring all the honchos in UDA party, from governors to Secretary General to CSs with loads of money telling people, I'll give you 500 if you go and vote. Those people, in fact, the question you need to address, Veronica, are those people members of UDA party? But that's beside the point. I would say this. The UDA party has the DNA of the UDA party is that they can use money to achieve anything. But they can do that once, but they cannot do that always. They spend 700 million in Bere. 700 million in Bere.
Can you allow me to respond?
Just a minute. Bero, why in a hurry? 700 million. I'll tell you, they'll spend even $1 billion shillings. They even spend $1 billion, but people of all Kalau are waiting for it. They come, take the money, and vote for the DCP candidate. And why is that? The ground has resonated and agreed that any transaction, any engagement with UDA party on the ground is transactional. If you want to meet us, pay us 1,000. If you want us to clap for you, pay us another 1,000. If you want us to smile, give us another 1,000. If you want adulation, give another 1,000. Therefore, the engagement of the people of Kalau and the entire mountain with UDA party is transactional. My colleague here, Veronica, the last time she was on the ground, she was not going there to just wave the people. She was taking goodies because she cannot get an opportunity to talk to the people if she has no money to give them. That is what's happening. Okay. And me on the ground. For me, I walk around. But Veronica and her colleagues in UDA party, they cannot leave Nairobi. They cannot leave Nairobi to go and meet the people without goodies. The last time Veronica was on the ground was in Kangari.
Well, she's here. So
yes, she's just here.
Okay, so
she was in Kangari.
Ask her for myself.
She went there to take the money.
So allow me to ask the question based on what you've said. There's certain assertions that you've made here, and like I said, she's here. So let's ask that question because it's important. And allow me to then lay the foundation for the question in this manner: that we know that in politics, optics matter. They matter a huge deal. Do these numbers matter? Because you've already given reasons as to why the numbers may have been on the lower side for the nomination of this individual. Does it tweak you in any way, hearing what he's saying, that the possibility of money having been spent and still that may not have resulted in the high numbers that you would have liked?
Let me say this. Maybe my colleague doesn't understand what nomination process is all about.
You want to teach me?
Parties, let me just explain my understanding of nomination. You've given your understanding.
No,
let me give my understanding of nominations, having dealt with several political parties and successfully conducted nominations across 47 counties. I come from a standpoint of understanding the processes behind the scene. First of all, nominations within a political party are internal. You can even use a delegate system where you even have just 10 people coming from each ward to determine who will fly the flag for the party in that specific electoral area. So number one, numbers may not even matter internally at the point of party primaries.
Is there a threshold?
The parties, there isn't actually, because the party, even in our rules, in UDA nomination, under UDA nomination rules, you can actually give a direct ticket to a candidate without going through the party nominations. Especially if you're in an area where you think parties and candidates can actually agree on a single candidate, a consensus building, just the way the United Opposition did a consensus candidate in Bere. So first of all, the people who are interested in pushing the number of votes to their favor is the candidates themselves. It's not the party. If the party comes in with any inducement towards one candidate, it becomes a bias process which goes against the nomination rules for every single political party. So, what we are hearing in the studio today, the allegation that UDA used money to get the people out to come and turn out for the party primaries cannot be further from the truth.
Didn't happen?
It cannot happen, because if it happens like that, then it means UDA is maybe favoring candidate A against candidate B. Because if you're bringing out the turnout, if you're encouraging turnout and it's not the main by-election, what then are you saying to the person you're sending, the voter you are sending? Are you sending the voter to vote in for candidate 1 or candidate number 10? Because there were 10. No. Let me just explain. You have spoken. I kept quiet. Let me finish. So it is not in the interest of any political party, leave alone UDA, to come out with tons of money. And let me say this, even if political parties could use money, and all of them sometimes do use money towards the end, and a question that we all need to discuss as Kenyans, even if they can use money in campaign financing, that money is not just thrown to no avail, or to no purpose, or to no resort. What ideally happens is the party leaves the candidates to campaign for themselves, get their voters out, and bring out the voters to vote for them in the nomination process to build their vote number. So I would not understand why my colleague would say that UDA, because he actually accused UDA, that's why I'm responding to it, that UDA came out with tons of money. It is a tagline they have been given within the party, that the only way to fight UDA is to accuse UDA of using public resources or using whatever resources they are using to build their own politics. But even if you want to use that tagline to build your image, because you are not able to build by itself, you can build your own image as DCP or as UDA without having to refer to other people or to other parties. They are using it as a sort of a stereotype to influence the thinking of Kenyans, to think that government is doing this, is using resources to build politics for its 2027. That's the tagline.
And it's not.
There was no need. You've asked him a good question. What is the purpose of the political party taking money on Friday for the party primaries, and whom would they be supporting within the 10 candidates? If you take out money, you only mobilize towards a candidate, because that was mobilization towards a candidate winning a ticket. So there was no need. He has not laid any foundation as to why the party would have been interested in mobilizing towards the voter turnout. And again, voter turnout, the number of votes we get in party primaries in Olkalau, it doesn't matter. The idea is who gets the maximum number of votes. Even if it's 10 votes, who got 7? And who got 2? And who got 1? If there were 100, who got 60? And who got 20? That's all you need to check at that level, because you only need to test the popularity of the candidate, and you pick the most popular candidate among the specimen of votes that come to be cast in the ballot. So it was not needful. But what I believe the DCP did, they read the script on Friday, because they are very anxious and very agitated towards building a perception that they are more popular. They have taken the mountain block of votes. So what they did is they saw what happened on Friday to the UDA. They looked at the numbers that were there. They shouldered up people without even showing to the public that the register we have used here in DCP is actually our members who are voting within DCP. The advantage UDA has as against DCP on Olkalau is that UDA has already built its membership register as at now.
And how do you know that DCP has not? How do you know that DCP has not?
I think it is still work under construction.
Okay, so we don't know. So we don't know that yet.
Because I have been an SG, and I know how much time and how much effort it takes for any party to build a register. Not just DCP, even any other new political party. We took a bit of time at UDA when we started the UDA, I believe in December 2019. We took quite a bit of time, about 1.5 to 2 years, to build our register for members to be able able to say now we have a members register that can take the candidates to the party primaries. So what I'm saying is this: if you want to allege that money was used, you wait for the by-election itself. Maybe that's when money would be used by anybody to the cause of I want the voters to come. But to allege, I'm not even saying to be used, but maybe then you can allege and people would believe you. But to allege money has been used now, why would anyone want to waste money to that respect? And then the allegation that in Bere 700 million was used, how far could that be from the truth?
Was it more?
There is no proof. There is no proof. There is nothing like that. I mean, in fact, disputing that fact. And you must allow in studios now, when people allege specific facts, to support them with documents and to support them with exhibits to show, we know money moved from this bank, we know money moved from this corner, and that money landed in Bere, and we know it was 700 million. I think that's just an alarmist statement.
My colleague has
a very serious alarmist statement.
I think you're putting her in a very awkward position. She's in a very awkward position because she's trying to defend the undefendable.
You want us to believe the unbelievable?
And the fact that...
I do want us to believe the unbelievable.
The fact that
because
they spend money...
To even pick 700 million as a figure, that's specific.
I
Those
think
are
you've said your part. Allow me to say my part.
You should even give... by the way, I was still on my feet when you came in, before being asked to come in. It's still my... I still have the mic.
Allow me.
I still have the mic, by the way.
This is not a shouting match. We are talking to the national studio, and I think it's very important that we also respect each other. I don't think
there's anyone shouting.
Now, what I'm trying to say long and short, it is very, very difficult to defend the devil.
And is it?
It's difficult to defend the devil.
How so?
Because what
is the devil coming in? What
the devil does outside there.
Do they have a devil in their corner?
Go with your point, please.
What the devil does is there for everybody to see. And you cannot say what has been done by the devil is the right thing. No, when my colleagues comes and says, a rural community was not able to come because they are teachers who are working. They could not have come. They could not have left their work. I just want to tell the Kenyan people.
They move from such point of ignorance.
All Kalau is a rural setup. People work when they want to work, and they rest when they want to rest. Now, in particular, when money has been poured to give the turnout that UDA is popular, they will quickly leave their cows, they will quickly leave their farms, and go and receive the money. In fact, they did exactly that. What they did not do is to go to the polling station. Why? Because there's a narrative in All Kalau that anybody who goes to support UDA party is a traitor of the cause.
I want to get a clarification on something here, and I'd love to get it from you. So these nominations, I repeat, are within the boundaries of parties. So you have any party doesn't have any business with another party when it comes to the nomination. During the by-election, then one would then be the actual election, then one would be able to say it matters who shows up or who doesn't. You could have a direct nomination by a party, so that's where we say there's even no threshold that needs to be met, except for the fact that Nduh and Dennis pit against one another within the party and then somebody's selected. So external business really has nothing to do with an internal process of nomination. My question is, only registered members can vote within a nomination process. Of what benefit? I mean, and of course, if money was spent, of what benefit would it be to spend money on a process that is internal? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else says or does. Further to that, the IEBC is not even involved in tallying of numbers towards the nomination process. Why would I spend money for a process where I can still dictate the outcome?
I'll tell you.
Exactly.
The reason is this. To leave my business to go and that's where you start reading the mood on the ground. In fact, the likes of my colleague here, they must refund back Ruto's money for throwing money, and there was no turnout. They have a very serious issue. Number 2.
That's, of course, going with the assumption that money was spent.
Money was spent, yeah.
It's assumption which is not there. There's no purpose.
It is there. It is there. And let me tell you, if there is people who like showing off, PR, the UDA party, they will launch one project after another, the one project 10 times. Why? Just to show that they are popular now. And that is their psyche. As opposed to DCP party, where people come out without being coerced by anybody, without any promise for anything, but just to come and liberate their country. That they are too much different. And I said, the psyche of UDA party to spend money. And I said, today, and my colleague, I want him to prove me wrong, the last engagement he had with the people of Moranga, she had taken money to Kangari. There she refused, there she goes empty-handed. In fact, for you to be able to vote, I'm saying, ask her which party is going to vie for. She will not tell you she will not vie with the UDA party. Because she knows UDA party in the mountain has no chance. In fact, I want her even to declare when your boss is listening. Your boss is listening. I want you to UDA party
before you finish.
If you make a mistake, then they know very well that if you vie with UDA
Kenyans
party,
have become smart.
if you become UDA party, you have no chance. And therefore, matters all kalau. The die is cast.
I mean, Senator.
say this.
Senator.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity.
He's given assertions that you would not vie in UDA because the
I will
mountain
vie
has
in
moved
UDA.
In UDA.
I have already stated,
Yes.
and I'm on SpiceFM.
So one asks the
That's
question.
one.
So another question would be that the party nomination exercise is scientific. It's
Yes.
based off numbers. And even when you're giving direct ticket, it's because the party has certain sin between the candidates who are there, who is the stronger one, for them to be
If
given
you want to look at the strength-
ticket. So here then one asks the question, why would one spend money in this exercise if at all you're selecting someone who would then be presented to the people at the final end to be elected by the people, who some are registered members, some are not, but it's the people of the constituency.
And that is what I want to dissuade. That notion is what I want to dissuade this morning as a practitioner in party governance. If you want to look at the strength of the party, you look at the number of candidates who have approached that party for the ticket. How the party determines who gets the ticket is the business of the party. It's an internal business. They had 9 candidates. UDA had 10 candidates. Is that a draw? Not a draw.
Okay.
That's almost a draw, almost at par. DCP and UDA each had the right to determine who becomes the flag bearer. The only budget and expense used by the party at nomination level is a logistics budget. Logistics budget to get the ballots, logistics budget to get the officials who will conduct that, logistics budget to get security for the events, logistic budgets to make sure that the day runs from, say, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. until the determination of the counting of the ballots that are cast. That is the only budget approved in a political party. My brother here is a legal secretary of the UDA. The last position he held. The last position he held.
Okay.
Let him declare to Kenyans today which day when he was in UDA NEC, he walked before party primaries to bribe people to come out and vote. If he's honest, and I know he's a lawyer, he's honest, there will be no day when myself as a Secretary General, I gave a budget for people to be paid to turn up to vote. Let me tell you something. The excitement you're seeing for the turnout by DCP members is a very short-lived experience. The true test is when IBC will walk in now as an independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to determine the candidate of DCP and the candidate of UDA and the candidate of Jubilee, because even Jubilee is going to have a candidate. It is the day when IBC on 14th of July, isn't it? 16th of July, when they will come and now tally the vote for each party. Indeed, They can continue dancing on the streets for the time being. We allow them to do that. But let them prepare themselves for the real duel, because it is coming. And this is the first time, by the way, in all the conversations I have undertaken in a studio, when we have discussed excitement in the in the voter turnout in a party primary. You don't discuss it at this point. How the party picks, nobody cares, actually. You could even have a delegate. Let me finish. Let me finish. You could actually have, and I repeat once again, you could actually pick the 10 candidates, sit them in a boardroom, make them go round through a consensus, agree to the strongest candidate, or even do a poll. A poll where you actually ask Kenyans in Olkalau, who do you think is the most popular among the 10? Conduct 3 polls, compare the results of the 3 polls without going to vote for party primaries, and come out with the strongest candidates and convince the others maybe to support the strongest candidate or to make a decision on what they want based on the resources the party has available. And that's why in 2022, we were trying to ask IEBC to reconsider its rules on how they can support political parties, because most of the political parties actually do not have the capacity to conduct very free and fair nominations without being supported by IEBC, because some of the political parties cannot even afford the ballot boxes, cannot even afford the ballot paper, cannot even afford the workforce. So we were trying to push IEBC to help parties to democratize at that low level, so that when you move up with the candidates, you have used democracy all through from the grassroots right up to the top. But for a party now to dance when just after party primaries is a very unusual behavior, but it's okay, it can happen because things change and political landscape changes. And of course, based on the context we are in right now, they're allowed to dance and enjoy themselves for a moment, but come tomorrow, let them prepare to go to Olkalau, because the same people they are saying could not turn up to vote in our party primaries, they will be surprised.
And
finally, about the choice of the date, I repeat once again, even for purposes of other political parties, when you pick a weekday is when even the schools are being used by the children. So even the activity that will be allowed within those schools will be very controlled and very managed, because you don't want to disrupt the classes, isn't it? You don't want to disrupt the classes. So there are certain factors that usually determine how the voter turnout becomes, especially on the choice of dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear from you,
I think we have said enough in terms of excitement and in terms of the dates when the nominations were done and the reasons why. But if we go by the line of excitement, I think UDA comes out very excited. Do you know the Deputy President of this republic, even before the late David Karaho was buried, he went to those sides of the Raka and start saying how they will deal with DCP. That's the way they did it in Bere, before even the late Kara was buried. So if you talk about excitement, that supersedes everything else, because in our tradition, we don't talk about inheritance to a person before he's even buried. It was out of order. It was in bad taste. And despite the fact that we're in politics, talking about how they will thrash DCP in Olkalau to teach the same lesson they did in Bere, even before Honorable David was buried, was in bad taste. So if we are saying there's excitement, the excitement is on the part of the UDA party. And since we are just concluding, I think we are just representatives of the people, and we listen to what the people are saying. And I think the party leader, DCP party, during the funeral of the late Honorable Keraho, before the president, he said it the way it is, that he may have been removed through bribery of these members of parliament, which my good friend here, Veronica, voted to kick him out. He may have bribed them to kick Gashago out, but he cannot kick out the people from the DCP and the Gachagua party.
Okay.
And regarding barriers,
our time, I'm sorry, Senator, but we have actually overshot the time here.
We should avoid campaigning and politicking over dancing on
the grave.
I think so. I think that goes. That lands.
I think we need to change that culture
squarely. I think that lands squarely on the feet of very, very many politicians across board. Unfortunately,
I don't like it. I didn't like what happened in Olkalau.
Yeah,
the showdown is unnecessary when we have a family that is bereaved, and I am.
We shouldn't actually have this kind of behavior
with the family. That behavior should never be condoned
by anybody.
If you want to do your politics, call us on a public rally. Don't use the budget of members of family who are burying their loved ones.
All right, I think that now comes at the end of this conversation this morning, and I just want to say thank you, both of you, for joining us in this conversation today. Senator Veronica Maina, nominated senator, and Wakili Edward Muriu, MP Gatanga constituency. Asante sana, both of you, for being here this morning. Good morning. It's already 3 minutes past 8.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is the Newswire. I'm Sheila Timbor. Cooperative CS Wycliffe Oparanya has called for calm within ODM, warning that internal disagreements could weaken the party and affect President William Ruto's re-election bid. Speaking in Busia, Oparanya criticized the removal of senior officials, saying it was creating confusion among supporters and complicating political messaging. He cited recent changes involving Secretary General Edwin Sifuna and Deputy Party Leader Godfrey Osotsi, noting that the developments have raised concern at the grassroots, particularly in Western Kenya. Oparanya urged party leaders to embrace dialogue and unity, cautioning that continued fighting could undermine ODM's influence.
Kitu ya kufukuza watu sasa wanafanya kazi yetu kuwa ngumu. Kazi yetu ya kutafutia rais kura imekuwa ngumu. Ukienda mahali unaulizwa kwa nini fulani alifukuzwa. Hata kule kwa bunge wanafukuza wengine. Kule kwa bunge wengine wanataka kufukuzwa. Na hii ni kipindi cha lala salama. Hiyo itasaidia sisi. Tunataka sisi wote tuwe pamoja. Na hii tukiendelea huyo fukuzwa, saa hii nimetembea huku ni nyumbani, natembea na ulizo maswali siwezi kujibu. Kwa sababu mimi si kiongozi wa ODM. Kwa sababu hao ni vijana wetu, kama hata kama wamekosa. Lakini kurudia kosa ndio nini? Ndio makosa.
And say Governor James Orengo now says he's fit to vie for the presidency in 2027 on an ODM ticket, saying the party remains a strong political force in the country. Speaking in Kisumu West, Orengo expressed confidence in ODM's ability to compete for the top seat in the next general election.
There must be one of us on the table. If one of us is not on the table, we break that table until one of us is on the table.
And that's the news. I'm Sheila Tembor.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same National Assembly.
Yes.
That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
SRC's mandate is constitutional. It's not an advice. It's actually something you must do.
Like now, you abandon, of course, the narrative of wheelbarrow, Mutomjengo, Mamamboga, and all those, that rosy narrative.
Your expenditure is 3.3 trillion, and you're collecting only 2.5. Out of that 2.5, you're spending 1.8 trillion service loans and so forth.
That the CDF kit, it's in itself a symptom of corruption.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
I am also a publicly elected official. Okay. My salary is paid by your taxes.
Yes.
So if you need me to answer questions, we will not run away from you.
Asante,
we will always be here.
The government itself is engaging in corrupt practices. That the government itself deliberately schemes to influence through bribery members of parliament.
You pay for a passport online. Alafu you're told there are no booklets.
I rebuke matters corruption because corruption has brought this country to its knees.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
One of the things that are in our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
In this country, 6 families and 8,000 Kenyans control 90% of the GDP. We are not a country. We are a plantation. We work for Ruto.
When you're telling the judges court orders are papers or they will not obey court orders, they're sitting and you're seeking orders from them. So how are they supposed to interpret it? Isn't it an oxymoron?
When you see a judiciary that seems to be under some control somewhere, you start questioning. We have very powerful governors, but they don't use their offices to serve the people.
If you are not shameful to do what you are doing, why should we protect you?
I'm human. Everybody's human. So when you're told, kuja tuongee, I mean, you'd be a fool to say, staki kuongea today. Conversations have to be had, you know?
People in leadership should only go into leadership if they are ready and willing to change the lot of the people.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation. The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Parliament has got powers. Let me break it down. The National Assembly can initiate an impeachment of the president.
This same
and the
National
Senate,
Assembly.
Yes.
That's our constitution.
This is just a continuation of the previous administration, which Ruto was part of. President Uhuru himself openly said that we're losing 2 billion daily. Daily. I mean, come on. Are you saying that we don't have a central bank?
If we look at Kenya, both public-private sector, that figure is ranging between 30 to 40%, right?
I think it's clear that the government of Kenya is living beyond its means.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Presidency is fairly interesting in the sense that it will actually take us to a new consciousness.
Swali zile watu waulizi na swali muuliza na shangala ni aje kwani huku kunaendaje?
30 billion shillings annually on travel alone in public service.
A Kenyan can even demonstrate every single day of his life that Ruto must go. That is the only message of his demonstration. That is his right.
That bribe blinds the eyes of the wise and subverts the cause of those who are in the right.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It is 12 minutes after 8 o'clock, and we were just trying to do some back-end stuff because you know how it is sometimes when you make a plan and then, interestingly enough, other things happen, and we can say it here. So, former Kirinyaga woman rep, Madame Grishi was to join us this morning, but we can't seem to find her. So let's see if she turns up at some point. But there are issues that we need to discuss, and so we're going to continue doing those this morning and see if we give time for Purity Grishi to get here. But before that happens, we definitely will continue with some of our conversations this morning, and for you to be in on that, because oftentimes we can see from our conversations that we have on our socials that there's certain things that you ask questions about that you obviously want us to go into. And one of such matters shows up today in the Standard. Whereas Senate has sounded alarm over things like fuel prices, hikes, and consumer abuse, the question also then comes to us on page 8, the very next page, about how they're facing scrutiny as quorum hitches disrupt House proceedings. So certain things cannot happen, even if a bill has been raised. So we know how it works, that you raise an issue, and it usually comes up as an amendment or as a fresh bill. Now, it needs to go to reading and it needs to go to debate before then, whether it's given a nod or it's not. But the debate in the House cannot happen if the quorum is not there. So do we see a direct relation between things being done and the people who are present in the House? Let me give you some of the information. Senators are facing mounting scrutiny as chronic absenteeism in both plenary and Senate committee meetings raises questions about their commitment to their constitutional mandate. The situation has been particularly critical during Wednesday morning sittings when cabinet secretaries are expected to appear before the House to answer questions. These sessions have been repeatedly adjourned by Senate Speaker Amason Kingi due to lack of quorum. The dual challenge of both senators and CSs failing to attend sittings is undermining the Senate oversight role. Question time sessions, once seen as a key accountability mechanism, are steadily losing relevance as delays render responses outdated. Now, said one senator, when CSs appear before the House to answer questions and to have and we have a quorum hitch and the House adjourns, they may get another chance several months later, by which time the responses are stale and overtaken by events. And so, of course, off the top of my head, I have to ask, is this intentional? Because if your job is to appear at plenary or committees to discuss key matters and you are not there and things are not done, but somehow we keep moving without it, then we have to ask the question why you are actually there. And why do we have some committees working and others not? Why do we have a situation whereby a constitutional mandate is actually then not being seen or lived out? Where are they? You can't say that senators have gone to their because they don't have constituencies. What is it that they're doing? If you're not in the committees and you're not in the House on the days that you're required to be there, where are you? What are you doing?
You don't do. When you look up what the quorum is 15.
Out of, okay, let's even say 47.
Yes.
Because we know that there are 67 senators, 20 of those are nominated. They can't vote on certain things. So your vote head essentially is 47.
47.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we're talking about a House that is unable to get that 15, let's just say for the House to move, for you to be able to discuss important issues.
And one asked the question then, if even on days when cabinet secretaries are there to respond to queries, remember, cabinet secretary is not there, is there to respond to matters of national interest, and we are unable to meet the necessary threshold for that business to be conducted in-house. Now, one also looks at if that has been, we're reporting this right now, for how long has it been happening? And what does that mean to the quality of services that wananchi have gotten from these senators? Because at the end of the day, there has to be ROI, return on investment. Because if you are not in the house, why are we keeping you there? If today we see that the Speaker of the Senate is raising concerns, is raising the red flag on this matter, when did they start and what has he done about it, other than just coming to tell us that there is a problem in the house?
Or, I mean, are you satisfied with saying that there's no quorum and then we just let it go?
We just let it go. That's the thing.
And I think that could be the problem. That is, a lot of other issues stem from something like this. If that months down the line, certain things have not been debated, questions have not been answered, CSs, for example, in terms of their spend and the oversight issues that senators would then bring up over their operations, if those are not addressed, then it is very easy to point to the reasons why certain people cannot be held to account, certain things cannot be brought under scrutiny, because they are not there.
They're not there.
There's no magic to this thing. You are not there. You are unable to fulfill your role. So if the question comes up, because if the question comes up, then one really does have to ask that question. We can get down to the brick and mortar of it here that say, if you are not sitting in committees, if you are not on plenary, Senate machinani, if you are not in the plenary having these discussions, debating over these matters, asking for accountability on certain issues, if you're not doing that, where are you?
You see, Nduh, this is where then you look at the behavior of senators. Because if we sit here, we will say, okay, fine. When you sit, you will see, let's mention them, senators that you see across
all the time. You see them in the house.
The Cherargeys, the Sifunas, you talk about, who else? Hey, no, Chachivo.
The ones that we see.
The ones.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. Every now and then,
Onyonka,
Senator Onyonka. You see
Halwale.
Boni Halwale. You see Veronica Maina. Interesting enough, though she's nominated, but you see her in the House. You see nominated Karen Nyamo. Well, unfortunately, saying what she shouldn't be saying. You see.
That's how bad it is.
Oh Lord, you see Catherine Muma in the House. If we have to do this, and I think it's every now and then we do see Senate Majority Leader Aaron Chariot. You do see hey, God in heaven. You see Senator from Makwene County is
Manzo.
Dan Manzo. You see the senator for Kitui County every now and then. You see the senator for Mombasa County every now and then.
But you see, from the word Nduh, you're able to pick pathetic performance, And if they are not in plenary, they are not in committees, they are not in Senate machinani, because we also know machinani is usually the entire house that is taken to this county. So that happens once in a while. But where you will see these people is in caravans where the president is. You will see them campaigning. You'll see them do all manner of things than be in the house where they're supposed to do their job, where they're supposed to deliver to the people of Kenya. Because remember, once you are in Senate, fine, you're representing your county, but you are there to serve the people of the Republic and ensure that counties do get the services that they ought to get. So if, say, the rules of the game say that you are not supposed to leave you're not supposed to miss 8 consecutive sittings, right? But you see individuals who would come, they would miss 4, come for 2, then disappear for the next 4, then come for 2, so that they don't meet the threshold of 8. What is the Senate then, through its standing orders, doing to ensure that people do not take advantage of the rules on a technicality? Because if I know, if I go 8, right, I will be kicked out. I will miss 4. I will show up for 1 or 2 and disappear for the next 4. What is the Senate doing to ensure that does not happen? Because it is one thing for the Speaker to complain, but how is he acting to address the matter. And then again, you go to the political parties. What is their role in ensuring that these senators who are elected through their parties get to be in these houses, get to be in these spaces and perform? Because at the end of the day, the performance must be traced back to the political parties. But if political parties as well do not insist on proper behavior of their members in these houses, the reason why we see all this mess.
I think we need to finally be able to connect inaction and then retrogression.
Yes.
It's time that we see things that are going on systematically for you to be able to understand why things don't happen. Look at the issues that we ask often about the reports that the Auditor General puts in place and the control of budget, where they say that, well, this amount of money is missing, and that the pick or the pack sits and they say, well, this is the result of the reports that we've put together over time. And then now the onus then lies on Parliament. How many times has Nancy Gavongo's office said, you know what, now the responsibility is on Parliament for us to see some kind of action? That when she says that we're unable to account for this money, we cannot find it, there seems to be misappropriation, this amount of money has there's a gaping hole in the budget up to 50 billion, there is a gaping hole up to 11 billion, we can't find this amount of money, and she says, you know what, the onus then lies on Parliament. This is the house that she's talking about. It's for you to then recommend. Also, remember, one of the things that the PAC committee chair, Senator Kajwang, told us, he said, our hope is to then be able to get up to date with some of these things, because unfortunately, you're doing work on previous periods. Our hope is then to be able to get up to date, because then what that allows us, and he actually did make a commitment, what that allows us to do is it comes and says, excuse me, Dennis, there's an 11 billion shilling hole in your accounts. What we're going to recommend and follow up with is coming and saying investigative authorities need to actually do something about this, because if your name is attached to a hole, either you fill it up or we ask you to sit it out for a minute. And he said, you know what, it is their hope, but it becomes very difficult for them to recommend investigation towards prosecution if they're not even up to date, which makes sense. But if you're going to compound the issue by not even showing up to bat, then we have a problem. But I'm still asking the question, maybe somebody can tell me, where are these folks going? If we say that, okay, guys, and you know, the Senator Edwin Sifuna told us, you guys can't pay me 1 million shillings every month, and I get the things that I get a mortgage, I get a vehicle, I'm comfortable. He said it here.
He said it here.
You guys can't pay me the kind of money, and then I fail to show up. Okay, that's great. But what about the people who, in actuality, are failing to show up? We can see the direct result of this right here. Complained about by the Senate Speaker, and said, you know what, it makes it then very difficult for us to do our work. If now we call a CS and then there's nobody to talk to him, if they show up, that is. And so when they finally show up, there's nobody to ask him or to put him to task or certain things, because we cannot have a conversation without quorum. It's the rules.
It's the rules.
That's when you guys hear standing orders, it's a fancy word for saying these are the rules of the house. Now, if that cannot happen, what are we doing? Are we surprised then that things take so long to get the caboose moving? Are we surprised? We shouldn't be.
I'm not surprised, because let's look at the roles of a senator, right? Protect county interest. Under that, what are we supposed to do? Represent and safeguard the interest of counties and the governments, ensure devolution works effectively across the 47 counties. Now, there is oversight of county funds, oversee how money allocated to counties is issued, includes funds from the National Treasury of Kenya, and senators question governors and county officials on spending and accountability. We also have lawmaking, right? And that is legislation. Participate in making laws, especially those affecting counties, review, amend, and pass bills concerning county government's revenue sharing and devolution. We have revenue allocation, determine how national revenue is shared between national county governments, and we have impeachment role. That one, they have performed. That one, they always show up. When it comes to impeachment, that one, you don't even need to ask questions. Then we have the representation. Each of the 47 counties elects one senator. Additional members represent women, youth, and persons with disabilities. And this is where it all goes down, representation. If we have members of Parliament in the Senate who do not show up to represent their members on the floor of the House, then who is speaking on behalf of Mwananchi? And we have oversight of national policies affecting counties. That includes the showing up of cabinet secretaries who need to be queried on specific issues that affect the counties. But here we have FCPA expert, right? John Badi would show up, but we do not have quorum to ask the questions that would affect revenue allocation, sharing of revenue to these counties. But the individuals who are supposed to ensure that this gets to happen are nowhere to be seen. Like I said, where do we see them? On top of land cruisers, campaigning, at a time when they're supposed to be in these houses, making sure that they represent, they legislate, and they oversight.
I think we get to the point whereby you want to look at some of these numbers and you ask yourselves that in 2022, reform saw the Senate revise its standing orders, essentially its rules, to introduce Wednesday morning sittings for ministerial question time, but the intended gains have not been fully realized. So they said, you know what, so cabinet secretaries and the ministries that they oversee are essentially, and not in a political manner, but are actually appendages of the executive. That what you must do then is you're going to push out the policy of this particular government. Now, if we have questions about what's going on with you, why is it taking a gazillion years to have passports out? Why do we see, for example, that, there's a divestiture of a certain private company, and where is that going to go? If you are not getting answers to these questions and then having the paperwork to back it up, then you're going to ask yourself that whether government is actually operating in the manner in which it ought to. I'm still asking that question, and I beg maybe somebody can tell us, and we'll probably have a few minutes where we can talk on the phone in a minute. Where are you? Because if I'm supposed to sit here and host a program and I'm not here 8 consecutive times, then probably you want to ask, is she on leave? No. Is she unwell? No. Where are you?
Where are you?
And are you being paid however so often to be there? So where are you? And that your contribution is necessary, because you went to the people and you said, I am going to represent you and oversight the folks who are spending your money. If you're not there, where are you?
Nduh, let's just read on the instances where the quorum bell had to be rung for these members of parliament to be there. So we have in effort to strengthen oversight, the Senate revised the standing orders in 2022, right? Now, on April 29th, Speaker Kingi was forced to order the quorum bell to be rung for several minutes in an attempt to reach the minimum number required to transact business. The effort failed. Right? Despite the quorum bell being rung. On that day, Labour and Social Protection CS Alfred Mutua was present and ready to respond to questions, while Mining, Blue Economy, Maritime Affairs CS Hassan Joho had sent apologies. He would not show up. Now, a similar situation occurred on March 4th when proceedings failed to commence due to lack of quorum, despite the presence of Agriculture CS Mutai Kagwe and Youth Affairs and Sports CS Salim Vuria. Now, let's just talk about the Agriculture CS, right? You talk about Agriculture CS. It is the counties where we see all these especially the agricultural counties, the food baskets of this country. And when you have a cabinet secretary coming in to respond on matters to do with subsidized fertilizer, irrigation into these counties, being there to address issues to do with the post-harvest losses, we see our mighty senators are not there. Now, another adjournment occurred on March 25th when the House failed to proceed due to absent senators required to move business despite the scheduled appearance of 3 CSs. On April 1st as well, the Senate again failed to raise the required members, affecting appearance by Trade CS Liki Nyanjui, Agriculture CS Mutai Kagwe, and East Africa Community Cabinet Secretary. And the list goes on and on and on.
You know what?
During that period, remember, you've summoned a cabinet secretary who's left their office to come to give you answers to queries that Senate has requested for. Members of Parliament knew, but they choose not to be there. Look at the wastage in terms of time and resources of the cabinet secretary, number one. But look at the loss Mwananchi would have received in these queries being asked and answers being given. And if there are changes and rectifications that needed to be done, would have been done by members of parliament being there to respond.
You know, when you talk about the quorum bell being rung, it just takes my mind back to... and you see where it takes my mind back to school.
Yeah.
Whereby...
Your first interaction with a bell.
Eh.
Or you're going to church.
Eh.
Yeah.
Because you're all over the place.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So we need to bring you to order.
Yeah.
Essentially, we need to tell you it's time. Hello. It's 10 minutes past 10. Recess is over. Come back to class. But even that, because when you heard the bell, you knew, snap.
It's time.
We need to be in class.
Yeah.
Now, help me understand how even this bell that the speaker will ring, you people have decided that you're still not going. In fact, it is because you are not there. That is why they have had to ring the bell.
Because the bell is an assumption that you're present.
Yeah,
all we need to do is to remind you.
You're somewhere in the building. Hello, hi. You come from your office and come to the thing.
No.
That doesn't
Atuko.
That doesn't happen.
That's so sad.
It's time to start asking some serious questions here about what the Constitution actually demanded and assented to by Kenyans, because the promulgation of the Constitution in 2010 essentially meant, when that flag was hoisted up over Uhuru Park, that whatever was in that document being the supreme law is that the people of Kenya had assented to this, and that this was going to be the modus operandi moving forward until you come to referendum when you say one or two things should be changed. But in the meantime, the status quo is maintained. So if you have to ring bell for grown men and women to come and do their job, and still they decided they're not going to, and then you leave Bwana Cherargei and Edwin Sifuna in the thing by themselves, we have a serious question to ask here. And you may be shy to ask, but then, are they needed?
Nduh.
Yeah?
Listen this. 17 motions and 18 petitions remain unresolved, while 15 petitions await committee reports. A further 503 statements are still pending before the House.
They will not be answered by Sifuna, Cherargei, Kajwang, and Onyonka, and maybe Veronica Maina.
By the quorum.
By the quorum, guys.
Numbers being in the House.
We'll talk to you in a minute. It is 26 minutes to 9 o'clock. We'd like to hear from you. Do you feel the weight of the work of your senator? We want to hear from you this morning. We'll talk when we come back from this break. Don't go away.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi, 18 degrees. We'll see a high of 25, and it's 17 and cloudy into Nakuru with a high of 24. It is cloudy at 17 in Njeri, and at 21 it is cloudy into Kisumu. Kakamega at 20 is cloudy, and Mombasa is sunny at 25 with sunny conditions at 26 in Malindi, 20 into Marsabit, and 21 and sunny into Kampala, while Dar es Salaam is sunny at 25. Johannesburg is sunny at 6, 27 and mostly sunny into Lagos, while at 5 degrees it's sunny in London and sunny at 29 in Beijing. Still Sunday night in New York, but it is cloudy at 15.
Chilled Spice.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Traffic.
All right, where are you? If anything, we were promised this Monday morning is that it was going to be crazy today getting into the city. So let's take a quick look at where we are right now. There is traffic coming off the Thika Superhighway. It is heavy. And everywhere you look, if we're looking at the city from a bird's eye view, there is a lot of traffic getting into the CBD this morning. Coming in from Limuru Road, all the way from the Village Market. The Red Hill Link Road, if you don't have to, do not. Because it is bumper to bumper heading in a northerly direction. And also then coming in from James Gishur, is going to cross over, trying to connect with Wayaki Way and then cross over to the Red Hill Link Road. That's not happening today because it's really busy. Into the CBD, coming in from the Thika Superhighway, also then coming in from Kiambu Road. You're coming in from Langata Road and Ngong Road today, as well as Raila Odinga Way, coming in from the Southern Bypass. Everywhere you look this morning, there's quite some traffic. Wits about, folks. You're going to need it. We're trying to keep things moving, but it's going to need a lot of patience today. We're going to have a lot of people coming into, and that's coming in from JKIA. Remember that we're given the warning before. So this might be that day to work from home, but let's talk and keep things moving either way. SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Online, mobile, and on radio. Twitter at SpiceFM KE.
Turn up the heat with endless entertainment on Star Times. Feel every moment of the action as the biggest leagues reach their thrilling finales. Recharge your monthly subscription to unlock a world of endless drama to enjoy Novella E, now available on your Nyota bouquet. Dive into blockbuster movies with the launch of TNT, your new home of big screen hits. And for the little ones, a world of non-stop fun on Cartoon Network, now on Star Times. News, sports, drama, movies, kids, and reality all in one place. All for you. To renew your subscription, dial *858# for self-service or get in touch with our call center on 0719 077 077 for customer care. Buy a StarTimes decoder at any of our dealer shops countrywide. StarTimes. Enjoy digital life.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, here we are at 22 minutes to 9 o'clock. We're going to take your calls this morning because we want to hear, do you feel the impact of your senator? Ulikuwa unasema kitu, Mr. Aseto?
Yes. You know, we're talking about a house where a while back, governors came up guns blazing that the Senate is requesting us to show up, and they said we would not show up. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how the same body that is always full of quorum whenever they're calling in governors is the very same body that is not available to query CSs. When you hear governors say that we are being tunaambiwa tutoe pesa, where people are outsourcing from us, one asks the question, why is there the appetite to have governors on? Why is there the appetite for governors to come and respond to these queries? And there is no appetite to be in the plenary, to be in the House, to respond to queries from cabinet secretaries, to legislate, to oversight, and to ensure that the counties do get that which they deserve. This one is opening the floodgates of people saying, aha, kumbe what governors have been saying is true. Optics matter.
Yes, what I was going to say, because it does matter that when, for example, there is a high-level impeachment, whereby we know that the Senate essentially is the one that tries the case, why do we then not have quorum issues? Why do we have less than 50% when you need to be asking, for example, the CS Interior, what exactly is happening whereby, you know, people are still being abducted,
people are being killed in Kitui,
people are being killed in Kitui, or things like that, and that nobody can answer, so that you can come back and give an answer to the people. Because guess what? During political silly season, everybody stands atop whatever it is that they're standing atop and says to you, you know what? We are going to ensure that 1, 2, 3 doesn't happen. We are going to do 1, 2, 3. It is to the people that you are beholden. Yes. If we can just get it in our heads that they come to you to tell you that they will do 1, 2, 3 for you. And I don't even want to talk about nominated senators right now. I mean, they can sit in the corner for a minute. These 47 senators that you have given your mandate, when you go and vote 6-piece, this position is in one of them. It is an elected position. That means you have taken your sovereignty. That means you have taken your power and you have delegated it to somebody else.
A king is a king through the people.
And you have said, because we cannot have everybody in the kitchen, the people who are in the kitchen, please, on my behalf, go and ensure that 1, 2, 3 is done. Now, in exchange, we will pay you well, we will give you some amenities here and there. We can give you a mortgage. We can give you a a vehicle loan. We can make sure that you will be comfortable, so that you don't have an issue when it comes to dispensing your duties. All right. Now, amongst those duties, is that I don't even think the house. You're on a lower, upper, whatever. It's a bicameral house, and this is what happens: is that folks are responsible for legislating. They make the budget, they make the laws. They're responsible for budget making. They decide how you're going to use your money, and then they're responsible for oversight, which is now what falls squarely with Senate. They are members of Parliament, but they are not members of the National Assembly. Capish?
Yes.
Now, when one of your roles is to sit in committees and discuss how the current laws are actually playing out, and to say that we cannot have 1, 2, 3, but we insist on 1, 2, 3, the other, even within those committees, quorum is required. Now, when you go to the plenary, which is now where everybody, you see that place where they're all kicking behind the scenes? This was to understand. Where they're all kicking their legs when somebody makes a point, then we say doof, doof, doof. Yes, that's the plenary where these discussions are being. Then people will raise point of order. Mr. Speaker, sir, what's your point of order? Those things that are being said in that place, where you are discussing certain things that will then either be amended or they will create a law whereby you will then operate. Now, I'm a spiritual person, but I don't believe in magic. It is not possible that you will, from where you are, imagine that somebody knows what you are thinking, and then it will magically find its way into the Hansard.
Security, Parliament, and then Hansard. Shakara baba baba.
Mama say, Mama sa, Mama goes. No, it has to actually happen. You actually have to be there for these things to take place. Furthermore, remember these people that you went to them and said that please give us your vote?
Yes.
They be watching, they're listening, or if they're not, guys, you better be.
You better be. You better be. You can't afford not to.
You know what? They know you are not watching, so they can get away with murder. It's true. Last week, everybody had their knickers in a bunch because a particular nominated senator said a certain thing. Do you know how many things passed that people have been saying over the last however long, and we've not been keen to listen and to hear? Hello?
Nduh. We're talking about 503 statements that are still pending. 503 statements, even if you were to discuss a statement a day, that would take you 2 years for you to go through all those statements. I'm just laying it
pending.
They're pending and still counting. You know, those are just statements. We've not gotten to 17 motions or 15 petitions that are yet to be discussed. We're just talking about statements that are pending, 503. It would take you 2 years if Parliament was to sit every day, Monday to Sunday. You get. But here we have a house that starts sitting on Tuesday to Thursday, because Monday and Friday watu wana relax. It's early weekend and tunapumzika kutoka weekend. You get what I mean? So what I'm looking at, ROI, $1 million bob every month in 5 years is 60 million. Kenyans are paying you 60 million bob to stay in that house to deliver for them. Nduh, we are in this corporate space. If you do not show up, one thing will happen. If you do not even meet your hours, you've clocked in, you've not met the hours. One thing will happen. You get dismissed, you go on disciplinary, or your salary is slashed. If these individuals do not show up in the house, they do not do their job. Bwana lipa mtu kwa kazi yenye amefanya. You show up twice, we just do the math. We will pay you twice. Because it does not make any sense why we are paying individuals who intentionally choose not to show up in these houses. Because if you don't show up, we do not need you. You have no purpose being in that house if you will not sit there to do that which Kenyans have mandated you to do. Story ya kukapa and paying people for work not done has to end. And Senator, Speaker, ikufikie. And I think Kenyans as well, it's about we even come up with a Citizens Bill or a Citizens Act that we push for that to be implemented, because hapana. We can't continue like that and expect that some miracle would happen, that manna would fall from heaven with good leaders. We equally have to look at people that we keep on electing, because if we're talking about 503 statements that are pending, this problem did not start today. This problem started way back.
And you know what it does is that it discolors those who actually bother
good
to
job.
show up.
Yeah.
So the few who are going to be there on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and actually do the work, go through and do the work, who sit in the committees without fail, who come to the plenary to discuss issues, what it does, unfortunately, is that it waters down your effort. Because what we know is that you can sit there and you can do the work, but then when it comes to the quorum that is required for certain things to move forward, even if you're there, you will not be counted. That's the sad thing that we're talking about right now. So we need to see the direct link between people not showing up and do their job and the retrogression that we face as a society, whether it is here, whether it is anywhere. That people are, I'm still asking, where are these folks going? Where are they? If they're not in the committee when the committee is called to do its work, because it's split, the representation is split between the plenary when there are issues to be debated upon, and then you now make decisions and then they are assented to, or the committees where some of these vital issues are being discussed before they're now brought to the main house. Where are you? Because you draw these emoluments. Because what are we talking about? Just in case you forget. You draw these emoluments. You've got a basic salary, you've got a house allowance, you've got market adjustments, you've got committee sitting allowances, car maintenance allowance, mileage allowance, medical cover, official transport reimbursement. So who knows where you're going? If you're coming back, you're getting money back for it. You could also earn up to 240,000 shillings extra per month in sitting allowances. You could earn this money.
Yeah.
And then you can imagine if the output, hey God, if the output was commensurate to the resource input. Has anybody ever come as a senator and said, excuse me, this month I've not been paid?
Nope.
Even if it has delayed or for whatever reason, has anybody come and said,
never,
excuse me, it's April, I've not been paid for February? No?
Never.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we need to see the direct link. So guys, this all comes back to the people. When you are hello? When you are voting, these are the things that we're asking you to focus on.
True.
Not the shenanigans of who looks nice or what they said that makes you feel a certain type of way. Who is doing the work? Who's doing the work? And who do you know that when put in that position is actually going to do the work? It matters because you went and you said this constitution and the way in which it has been put is how we want it to operate. Now the agents of ensuring that devolution works. Ensuring that constitutionalism is realized are these guys now that you say you cannot find in the Senate.
Nduh, you've asked where these individuals are. I reckon they do not give a hoot about delivering to Mwananchi.
And you can't say that they're SpiceFM because plenary sessions start at 10 o'clock.
At 10.
9, they're done by that time.
No,
all right.
No.
Okay.
SpiceFM ends at 10.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Room.
It's Situation Room, ends at 10. But Nduh, they just don't care. And I think this is the time where Mwananchi needs to look at these leaders for who they are. Because we can't also afford to, every electioneering year, we're looking at who is coming in with the latest car, who is coming in with Unga and Leso or Mabati. We can't look at those things. It's about time. If we give someone an opportunity to sit in that house for 5 years and they're coming back for re-election, we need to ask the question, we elected you as senator for county Aseto and Sons.
Yes.
County, right? I need to look at the deliverables. What are the statements that you took to the house to make my life easy in this county? What are your contributions from the Hansard that I can say you participated in making my life easy? That you fought to make sure that my interaction with power through the county, through the governor, that the money spent in that county as allocated by the constitution, that has been allocated by parliament, that money was spent to the benefit of me and my people in this county. You have to be selfish as an individual from that county and ask these questions. Because you'll say, Governor hakufanya, but remember, there is a senator who's there to ensure that the budgets that have been approved by the counties have been approved and allocations have gone into that the senator follows up together with the MCAs to ensure that budget is realized. If we do not ask those questions as Kenyans, then we are letting ourselves down.
Because you know what, we need to make it, this is not political.
It is not political.
Because you need to, guys, I beg you need to make the connection between what is happening in Parliament and what is not happening in your pocket, in your house, on your plate, with your children, in the hospital. You need to make the connection with what is happening there and what is not happening, or what is happening in those places as concerns you and what is not happening in Parliament. Come on, you need to make the connection between the two. If you don't, that is why you'll be blamed tomorrow and say, well, it's the people at the end of the day who make the decision. There is a senator who is sitting today, who is a former governor.
Yeah.
And under his watch, people's money was taken with the promise that their children were going to go to Europe to go to university.
Yes.
That person is a sitting senator today. And then you tell me it was alleged. Now, that person is sitting senator today, and then you want to tell me that this person, I don't remember the last time I saw him in the plenary. I don't understand the last time I saw, which committee is he in?
Health.
He's in the health committee. Okay. It is the same health committee that's dealing with issues whereby you want to come and tell us, shut up. Shah is working, right? What questions have they raised? What issues have they sat on, died on that cross where they say, look at somebody like, if you want to move to the National Assembly, somebody who sits on the health committee of the National Assembly, Anthony Kibagen, who will say, I will die here.
I will die here. You will kick me out. I will still come back.
But I will still insist that you guys have to answer these questions. Okay. Do the same on the other side. Where these ones are supposed to be asking you the questions. Excuse me, Kenyans are asking, you spent their money. What did you spend it on? That if you had an operational house, that anybody who is accused of taking money, do you know what the law looks like? The law should look like anybody who is alleged to have taken money. I'm waiting for the time where I see a forward-leaning bill like, we need to insist, according to the law, we can debate it here and then push it to the National Assembly where we say, excuse me, money disappeared under your watch, come and go and sit down until we can figure it out. Where do we see such bills? And I keep saying, you can connect with what is not happening in your pocket, not happening in your hospital, not happening on your plate, not happening in your schools, not happening in your offices, with what is happening in the house.
In the house.
Also, the inverse is true. You can equate what is happening in all of those places with what is not happening in the house. You have to make the connection. It'll make this voting thing that everybody gets their knickers in a twist all over so much easier.
Nduh. You know, the counties were allocated 380 something billion. Now they're asking for 405 billion shillings. Pause for a moment and think of what that ought to do. Because as we speak today, I will give a simple example which is easier to go to. SGR costed us 380 something billion, right?
Yeah.
Right? That is a national project. Now imagine all those billions, what that would do to your county, and the people who are in charge in ensuring that that money is spent based off the budgets that have been passed by the county assemblies. You get what I mean?
Yep.
Because those budgets, the money that has been allocated to all these counties, have to be spent according to the budgets that have been passed by the counties now. Here we have a senator who's supposed to ensure that this is what you promised in your budget. We gave you this much money. Now, this much money we've given you, together with what you have collected, we are seeing you have done this, or we are not seeing what that money is doing at the counties. We therefore demand answers. If there is no answers, we then open investigations, we jail you and get you out of that seat. Because if you cannot work, we do not need you in that space. That is the role of what a senator brings to your county, and that is what they ought to do to ensure your life is affordable, is simple in your county.
Oi.
Can't be that all these billions every day that you're giving to counties just disappear. Yet we have individuals who are supposed to ensure that they are delivered, that value for money is seen, but every other time we are there clapping for them and calling them for harambes. Yet if they just spent and ensure that hospitals are working, you would not be able to lose your dignity because you're doing what? Because you're calling for harambes. Your child would be able to go to school, to an ECDE, because there are budgets that have been passed and your money is being used where you're required.
Have you ever heard a day where Amason Kingi will stand up today and say, you know what, guys, I'm tired of this BS. You people are not showing up to work. You're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. So shut the thing down until people get serious. That's the day when you realize that people are actually taking their job seriously. Yeah. We cannot have 4 people that I'm almost shouting at every day. The same 7 to 8. Okay, fine. Let's even make it many. Okay, 20. We cannot have the same 20 people that I'm talking to every day who are concerned on certain matters. But then suddenly when there's an impeachment motion, people can even sleep in Parliament. People can sleep at the Senate and stay until midnight. People that you didn't even... I was shocked the other day because I do watch the proceedings. Yeah. I saw somebody and I was like, wait a minute.
Unakuanga.
And she spoke as in words came out of her mouth, as in she had something. And I was like, you mean to tell me that the people of the great county of X are represented by this person in terms of oversight? Wonder shall never cease. It is not possible that January to December, Monday to Friday, you sit and then every now and then you go and talk to somebody somewhere and that nobody even knows who you are. No, come on, Bana. You can't be taking people for a ride. No. It actually is enough. Let me tell you why the person who came up with that adage that knowledge is power, they did, because they understand. You know what?
Yeah.
If the people realize that you are being taken for a ride in terms of how the nation's money is spent, in terms of how laws are being made, if they know that it is you, Oga, you will not be there tomorrow. That's why it's power, because the people have the power to take you out. And in this sense, I don't mean take you out to another existence.
Take you home.
Bas, that is the takeout that I'm talking about. But people don't know. So they can wallow in ignorance because they actually don't know. It is important for us to be able to tell people that this is actually the role of this person. Yeah. This person who comes and gives you unga and a leaf of sukuma wiki is the person who is responsible for making sure that your money is being spent well, so that you don't have to suffer when you're taking your daughter to hospital, or that you don't have money to take your child to school, or that you don't earn enough and they're taking it away from your payslip. This is the thing they were talking about. Even you who doesn't have a payslip. Yeah. Even you who has to go to your farm in the morning and collect the one gorogoro of, is that what they call it? Yeah. Of maize or whatever. If you understand that this is the person who is responsible representatively for your existence, my friend, you have all the power.
Nduh, I'm here to tell Kenyans this morning. It comes to you to give you a gorogoro of mahindi. Imagine if that senator ensured that agriculture, which is a devolved function, actually works in your county, you will have your own farm that is producing a lot. They are coming there to give you bursaries worth 2,000 bob. If they just sat and ensured that we have an education fund and that money actually trickles down to each and every single child in this republic, you would not need that 2,000 bob. If they just sat to ensure that hospitals that have been devolved by the counties do work, you would not need a Harambe for him to come give you 10,000 bob to ensure that you get the services you need in a hospital. Kenyans, when you have an opportunity to go and vote, think about all these positions and what they ought to do.
You guys, these positions that somebody's asking you to vote for them, these elective positions, it's not a walk in the park. It actually is hard work, and it needs people who are dedicated to a cause to actually have it done. It's not prestige. Nope. If you're looking for prestige, don't go into these and ask for these positions. It's hard work. For you to say 25,000 kilometers of road have been built, and this is the money that we use, for you to now then be able to dig through and say, where? Which ones are the roads? Yeah. And for real, if you didn't spend how many ever billion on these 25,000 kilometers of road, excuse me, give us back the
Where's the money?
And insist on that being done. Yeah. If it is not returned, then somebody can go and cool their heels while they sleep on the floor and eat cabbage. This is what we're talking about. Yeah. And that's what governance actually means. Now, if you have people that you're voting for who are not doing that, then it is you to ask yourself the question. It's 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
Good morning. This is Dania Zaya. I'm Sheila Tembor. Kuppet Trans Nzoia branch is expected to hold a protest today to pressure the government to address challenges facing teachers under the Social Health Authority insurance scheme. The union is also demanding the permanent and pension employment of 44,000 trainee teachers, as well as the payment of salaries for national examination administrators. Branch Secretary Danny Kutai said teachers are prepared to take further action if the issues are not resolved urgently.
We came to realize that this government, they never mean well for the examiners of this country. Yes. They never mean well for the invigilators of this country. Yes. They don't mean well for the next supervisors of this country. Na ndio maana tumeamua kwa kauli moja tunatangazia walimu wetu ambao ni wataini, ambao ni wasimamizi wa mitihani. Takapofikia wakati wa kusimamia mitihani mwaka huu, mwalimu yoyote asipatikane katika shule yoyote anasimamia mtihani. No goes on. Itakapofikia wakati wa usahishaji wa mtihani, naelekeza wataini wetu ya kwamba mtaini yoyote asipatikane ameelekea katika kituo chochote kile cha usahishaji.
A section of leaders allied to the ODM Linda Mwananchi faction have intensified campaigns against President William Ruto's administration. Speaking in Bungoma County, Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya and members of the Linda Mwananchi faction urged residents to support the opposition ahead of the 2027 polls. Natembeya criticized the government over the rising cost of living and accused it of neglecting key industries in the western region, which he said have collapsed due to poor leadership.
Agenda yetu ni moja tu. Tukiondoa Ruto, kumuondoa tu 80% ya shida zetu zitakuwa zimeenda na yeye. Maana tukimuondoa anatujengea stadium inaitwa Talanta. Hapo ndio sisi tutapishiwa kwa hiyo stadium yake.
The leaders also faulted National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula and Prime CS Musalia Mudavadi, accusing them of placing personal interest ahead of the region's development priorities.
Tafadhali Waluya, hakuna kitu kwa ballot inaitwa Luya Kingpin. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Hiyo ni njama watu wanatumia kugawanya Waluya. Viongozi wenyu hapa Bungoma wengi, isipokuwa Jako Wamboka na Kalasinga, wale wengine wote wanatembea na Ruto wakiweka pesa kwa mfuko. Hatutaogopa, tutampigania. Hii power mmetafuta Muluya kutoka 1963. Hii power tunaleta nyumbani 2027.
Leaders allied to the Kenya Kwanza coalition have raised concern over low voter turnout in parts of the Rift Valley during the ongoing voter registration exercise. Speaking in Kapsabet, Nandi County, the leaders led by Prime CS Musalia Mudavadi warned that reduced registration in the region, considered a key political stronghold for President William Ruto, could affect his support in the 2027 general election. They urged residents to turn out in large numbers during the next voter registration drive, saying consolidation of the president's support base must begin at home.
Nandi only registered in the last round 52.6 thousand people. That is not good. Wale ambao wana identity cards katika county hii na kwengine, if you are listening to me about the size of the victory, we cannot afford to have that kind of registration.
The leaders also urged public officials to maintain unity of purpose and focus on advancing the government's agenda.
Tushikilie rais, tushikilie kwa masomo, tushikilie kwa kilimo, tushikilie kwa infrastructure. Na ya mwisho tushikilie kwa kura 2027.
12 Nzoia leaders in Kakamega County are demanding the return of disputed land in Kakamega town, which they claim was taken over by the National Police Service. Led by Agri Majimbo and Alfred Muyeshi, the leaders said they were evicted from the property 3 years ago and have yet to receive justice. They're now calling on the police to hand back the land, insisting it rightfully belongs to the party.
Kilichotendeka tuko kwa kisa. Tunashangaa ya kwamba ikiwa hii ilikuwa plot ya KANU, tukiwa watoko kuanzia 1991 ndio mimi nilianza kuwa mwanachama wa KANU. Tunashangaa ile mchezo ilikuwa hapa, ilikuwa ya paka na panya. Wanashika secretary wanaweka ndani, wanashika chairman wanaweka ndani. Plot ni ya serikali, plot ni ya polisi. Sasa tunashangaa polisi siko hapa ngapi? Kuna polisi inaendelea iko panda hii across the road. Kuna ingine iko panda hii inajiitwa patrol pace. Sasa tunashindwa polisi ni ngapi hapa Kakamega.
The leaders have also appealed to KANU's national leadership to intervene and help recover their property. And that's the News Nzoia. I'm Sheila Tembor.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. you find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Every time he kept on saying he wants a vibrant opposition.
How does it make sense that public money has been used already and then they dare to sell it back to you? Why are they not giving them for free?
That's how broken we are. That's how broken we are.
They're being sent home now for fees. They're going to fail to prepare. We are compromising the futures of these children.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we may find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Nilikuwa nimesema it is 8 o'clock, but it is 9 o'clock. It was at that time 9 o'clock. And it is now 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. We continue with our conversations this morning. Dear Mr. President, there's a word or two. And today our focus is on education. Now you could, so folks are asking what happened to Purity Ngirishi. She sends her apologies, I'm sending them after she has sent them. We'll probably have a conversation with her tomorrow. So may the day break, kachifo, as we say. Let's see what happens then with her. But our Dear Mr. President conversation was scheduled for this hour, and we're going to have it. As we do every Monday, there are issues that need to be brought. So Dear Mr. President, it's not about those who may want to join you in the hallowed halls of policy, but it's about those who are in the halls where this is actually lived out, that who are the ones who have the experience on a daily basis. And we're not just talking about the primary stakeholders, in this case, who are the children, the learners, but we're talking about those who send them to school, their parents. We're talking about those who teach them, teachers, guardians, guidance counselors, head teachers, deputy principals across board, that those who are facing this situation are not facing one that is all pretty. Dear Mr. President, allow me to share a number with you. 151,000. Let that number be in your mind for a minute. Let me share another number with you. Second. And let me share yet another number with you. 6th. And 7th. So let's start with 151,000, shall we, dear Mr. President? This is the number of grade 10. I'm not even talking about anybody else. This is the number of grade 10 students around the country who either failed to show up or who have dropped out of school in the last one term. I did not say 1 year, I said one term. This is not the Situation Room with this number. This comes from your CS in the Ministry of Education, dear Mr. President, who told us that they were a bit worried about the fact that these children have not gone to school. This is from their records. They've told us this. The other number that I gave you was second. That's the term that we're currently in. So that means already they've been out of school for 1 term and 3 weeks.
Yep.
Schools opened again for learning on the 28th of April. So 3 weeks they've been back in school, and still this 151,000, interestingly enough, whittled down from over 800,000 when we were still dealing with who was going where and who was studying what. So that is where we are. The other number I gave you, dear Mr. President, was 6th and 7th. So this is the 6th year for many, the 7th for some, of being in this education system where they don't know if they're coming or going. These are grade 10 students who started off, I keep repeating that hopefully one day it'll sink, who started off as the pioneer class of this new curriculum. They started off in 2019 as students, learners in grade 3. They are currently in their 7th year, 2026, as grade 10 students. There are certain subsets of pathways that the books for those subsets have not been delivered to school. Now, that may shock you, but let me tell you the bigger shocker. We are in May. In June, for grade 10, there is a Kenya National Examinations Council assessment for grade 10. Now, I told you before that I'm spiritual, but I don't believe in magic. I want to understand how these students are going to get the knowledge and information to then sit this assessment in the subsets where books don't exist. I really want to understand. Now, I'm not talking about your run-of-the-mill STEM, not run-of-the-mill. I'm not talking about STEM. I'm not talking about some humanities for which courses are. I'm talking about these pathways where you insisted, where the ministry said, these are the pathways that we've come up with. You'll then be able to study across board. If the subject material does not exist, how do we plan on assessing the competency of these learners? Remember, it is a competency-based education. If the subject material doesn't exist, how do we assess the competency, which is the peg of this curriculum?
Okay, Nduh.
Yeah?
You know, for a very long time, it's been said that we come here to only present the dark side of life. But if that is what it will take for the education sector to work, if that's what it will take for sense to finally land in people's heads and minds and deliver in this sector, Nisawa. Because here we're talking about 702.7 billion shillings that has been given to the education sector. Yet capitation still remains being a problem. I'm going to give you a lived experience. Last week on Friday, I had students in studio with me from different schools, actually. One school was from deep in Mount Kenya. Another school was somewhere in Kiambu. And because they came, they asked questions. And after that, I asked them a simple questions. They were grade 10s. And I asked, did you guys get textbooks? Did you guys get textbooks? And they said no. I saw the cabinet secretary for, not the cabinet secretary, the PS education was in a certain education forum in western part of the country. And there's a student who actually told the cabinet secretary, I am a student doing aeronautics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my class of around 50-something, we only have 4 textbooks. How do you gauge my performance if the government of Kenya, if the Ministry of Education has not given me materials that will enable me to achieve that which I selected, I qualified for, but the ministry has let me down? Is it a concern to you, Bwana PS? I remember, to you, Bwana PS, that we are in second term. I'm about to sit my exams, but I do not have books that will assist the teachers to train me, will assist me to pass and achieve my dreams. This is a story of students of this republic. I'm telling you, I was not even having a conversation with teachers. Walimu, you go separate. That's a different problem altogether. But these are the students who go through this curriculum on a daily basis. So, if we have to paint it negative and black for us to finally see the light shine through it, then we must, and yes, we shall. The numbers that you talk about, the 150,000 who have not been able to go to school. The cabinet secretary told us that 100% transition to school is a reality, that they would go door to door. Chiefs will go house to house. Ngaf will ensure that this happens. If we have over 150,000 children who've not gone to school, then please tell me how we are implementing the constitution that has given every child in this country the right to affordable and quality education. Because that speaks clearly to a government or a society that is living by the rule of law and implementing that which they have sworn to protect and uphold.
Dear Mr. President, if you rely on the people around you to tell you what's going on, I'm going to go out on a limb here this morning. They're not telling you the truth. Dear Mr. President, it is not true. And it makes you look a certain type of way when you tell us that you fixed education. And if you say this on the back of the information that you are given, they're making you look bad. They're not telling you the truth. Whereas we will have students who will go back to school at the beginning of the term. They'll have activities, they'll come out, they'll sit exams and cuts, and they'll come out on the end of it and go back to school in the second term. There is a lot that is missing. And if there's something that's missing, it paints a picture about the entire program. There has to be something done about some of these issues. Even if it's one thing, take one thing and fix it. How about we have books before the terms begin?
Yeah.
Just do one thing. Let's not even deal with dealing with the development. Don't even build on the dining hall. Don't do these. Before we even move to make sure that the teachers, who by the way are crying, and they're talking today about saying, excuse me, I'm still an intern. Leave alone all these political stories that you're telling out there. 44,000 of us are still interns. We're looking for permanent and pensionable, because you know what it does? It makes me the lackey of the system. That I am a history teacher, but then you're going to make me teach math tomorrow because whomever is not there. The reality of the situation is that you have a Form 4 leaver who is handling a school, and the director of education who is drawing a salary from the ministry every month is saying, it's okay, you carry on doing your business over there and we'll sort it out later. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about people who cannot afford an extra shilling to go back to school, but they're being asked to bring many things. I know, I'm even going to go out on a further limb here and say, I know you want it to work. But it's not. And if there's a kink in the armor, the soldier is compromised.
Yeah.
There's a kink in this armor. This soldier is definitely compromised. Sure. Your CS doesn't know how much it costs for a child in Kenya today to go to school from ECDC to varsity. Does not know. if that is the case, and again, I didn't go to sleep on a Sunday night and wake up in the morning and started doing magic in my head. These are words that came out of his mouth. They don't know the unit cost of education in this country today. So if you don't know the cost, how are you applying capitation? How are you arriving at this is the 22,000 that we're going to give? If you don't know how much it costs, is it possible that you're giving more? Further to that, you last week told us about ghost schools, dear Mr. President. You told us that, you see these people who are bringing ghost schools. Who? It's the Ministry of Education. You cannot walk into Jogo House today and say, excuse me, can I take a look at your system?
Can I register school?
No. It's your people in the ministry who are doing this. Ghost students, ghost schools, the money that you should be sending for capitation ends up in somebody's bank account. This is happening under your government. These are happening under the Ministry of Education, who are telling you that education has been fixed. I'm telling you it hasn't. At the very least, can the skeleton and all the bones even be present before we even start talking about putting flesh and blood on the thing? There's a problem. Dear Mr. President, there's a problem. But don't take it from me. Let people tell you if everything is okay as far as they're concerned. Then if they say so, then we can move on. 07. Hey, what's that number? I've even forgotten the number. 0732 142 650 0732 142 653. Call us today. Are we looking at a situation where it's been fixed and we are going through this thing properly? If not, now is the time for you to have your say. Dear Mr. President, he's listening. Well, he might be a little bit busy today with Macron, but somebody's listening and they'll send him the message.
Nduh, a king is a king through the people. Mr. President, the people gave you an opportunity for you to deliver to them, and education was one of the key aspects of it. The president came and said that he's built over thousands of classes. You know, he's employed over 20,000 teachers. It's good, Mr. President. So we'll give credence where it's due. But is it enough, Mr. President? Are we seeing that today we have enough teachers to deal with the number of students that we see today? Are we here to say that all the classes that have been built across the country is enough for the number of children who are in these classes? Mr. President, we will say, fine, you've built, and thank you for that. But Mr. President, if it's not enough, we're going to tell you. If there's a problem, we're going to tell you. If there is a problem with capitation, we're going to tell you. If teachers are complaining, we're going to tell you. If we do not have laboratories in schools, we're going to tell you, Mr. President. And it is not that we're telling you from a bad place. It's because we want to help you make it work.
It's from a bad place, so Uncle Dennis, it's from a bad place. I beg. It's from a bad place because what?
Because, tell you what, Nduh. I come from a place where I'm telling the president all these things so that he can fix them and so that it can work. Okay, it's coming from a bad place, but I mean well.
I get your point. Yes. But then sometimes I sit here and I say, okay, Nduh, am I being too judgmental? And am I sitting from a place where it's easy to pontificate about some of these things? Or is it just a lot of work and that the folks who are sitting there are actually not able to do it? Is it possible that there's too much of a demand and that's why the thing can't be done? We can't print books on time because we don't have the money. We don't have the money because we're too busy doing something else. We don't have enough capacity. We don't have... Are we putting... Are we putting too much responsibility on a system that doesn't have the capacity to make this thing happen? Because maybe it's about time we started asking some real questions here. That we've had an issue for way too long. So maybe you're putting too much responsibility on a system that doesn't have the capacity to deal with some of these issues. Maybe.
Nduh. Mwai Kibaki got to power and said, let there be free education, and there was free education. Was that magic? No. We saw it happened. It starts from the top. If we have goodwill to have all these things work, it will work. I only ask the question, if we have seen that happen in this country, why aren't we seeing the same push happening today? Because we talk about capitation. You tell us there's capitation that has gone to schools, but numbers don't lie. Numbers tell a different story. So how then is it that the head of state will tell us that it is working when numbers that have been given by a government agency that he is leading is telling a different story? Unless he's consuming numbers that come from the moon or the stars. Because what you're consuming that his government is giving us is completely different.
0732 142 650 0732 142 653. There was something that people used to say, Elimu Bora, or in this case, it just seems to be Bora Elimu. We've passed them through the conveyor belt. Yeah. Okay, we need to do an exam. We need to do KCSE. Next year, tunamalizana na KCSE. We finish with 844, then we move. Is it like we just need to, let's empty the thing. Let's get people moving and then we are done.
Let me just corrugate even worse for you, right? Do you know the government of Kenya today, Nduh, has told you it does not know how your child will go through the entire education system to tertiary? That you as a parent, ujipange. The government of Kenya, sisi hatujui, mwachane na sisi. Mtadu?
We're taking your calls this morning. Talk to us. It could be that it's our opinion this morning, but let's hear from you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very fine.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Philip calling from Nakuru.
Yes, Philip, can you please turn down the volume on your radio?
Let me go outside first. Let me just move away from there. You know, there is a problem. Kenya, we have a problem. You know, the education of Kenya is very poor, but capitation, there is no capitation, and the president is saying capitation is there. So we have problems.
You take issue with the capitation problem here. If it comes late, or some cases it does not come.
Capitation, some of us, as I was a driver, I worked, I was not paid. We go to these labor offices.
You worked for a school?
I'm not paid. Yeah.
You worked for a school, okay.
Yeah. Sasa kama sisi ni madriver tulifanyia nini kazi kutengeneza barabara na tulipu. Tukienda kuitisha hata kazi kwa barabara hapo unaambiwa wewe huwezi kupewa. Wewe sijui ni nini mlengo fulani. Sasa some of us hata wengine hatukulipwa pesa mahali tulifanya, tumekuwa na depression, watoto wamekuwa nje wenye walifanya mtihani. Wengine hatujui kama watafika, kama wangu sijui kama ataenda wapi. University na alipita vizuri. Sasa sina pesa hata.
Hauna pesa kuwatuma shule. That's what we're talking about now.
Yeah. Kama sasa wangu alipata B. Sasa nataka kujoin university. There is no money. Sina kazi. Mahali nilifanya sikulipwa, sijalipwa, sasa niko na stress na depression nyingi. Hii serikali inatusumbua kweli.
I hear what you're saying, Philip. Of course, you know, it's a tough situation. Sometimes the answers are not forthcoming at the moment. But sharing your experience, thank you for contributing to this morning, Philip.
Thank you.
Some of the stuff is so tough. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, Nduh.
How are you doing?
Fine, I'm Ali from Mombasa.
Yes, Ali from Mombasa. How are you doing?
Fine, and you? Long time.
Very long time. Unaenda kujificha wapi?
Niko na wasikiliza tu, sijapata nafasi ya kuchangia, but leo nimepata.
Nashukuru Mungu. Karibu.
Asante. Na tuko katika mada ya CBE curriculum, inaitwa Competency Based Education Curriculum. Ndio?
Yes.
Kitu cha kunishangaza ni wakati mwingine sisi tunaingia kwenye majukumu wakati hatujaweka miundombinu ama msingi wa lile jambo tunalotaka kulifanya. Kwa mfano, kwenye hii curriculum ya CBE sijaiona teaching curriculum yao wala